everyone. My name is Rebecca. I'm the Industry Programs Executive at TKSA, and I look after the Tourism Awards, as I'm sure a lot of you joining us today are very familiar with. Welcoming you all. If you're a return entrant or someone who's really new to the process, it's really good to see a good mix of you all joining us today. So before we get started, I'd just like to firstly take the time to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that I'm zooming in from today, which is the Kaurna people. And I'd also like to acknowledge that you're all joining us from probably various parts of SA and potentially the country. So just like to acknowledge those First Nations people and the traditional custodians of the lands that you're joining us from, and also acknowledge any First Nations people participating in this session, and just really acknowledge and celebrate the diversity of those and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and the waters of SA and the country in general. So today we are talking about preparing for the 2024 Tourism Awards, which is pretty hard to believe. We've just wrapped up the 2023 Awards tourism season with our annual gala dinner on the 3rd of November, which for most of you, if you joined us on the night, hopefully had a really great time networking and celebrating our industry as a whole. We had over 650 people there on the night, so it was a really great celebration. And of course, we're already planning and looking forward to next year's program and event. So yeah, we're kind of riding that high of such a fantastic event and program, and reiterating the fact that it's really great to see so many people thinking about entering next year and feeling inspired to do so. Just a couple of housekeeping things. So just make sure that I think everyone's on mute already. I think we've all got the gist of this, but just, yeah, make sure you are on mute as we go through the session today. It's just a quick one, half an hour. But please feel free to leave any questions in the chat functionality. And I'd also really like to invite people who have entered before. We're talking about tips and tricks to really prepare yourself as an individual or a team and a business to get ready and be in the best position to enter the Tourism Awards next year. So if you have entered before, I would love to get you to pop into the chat any tips or tricks that really worked for you, and yeah, just get some ideas from other brains and not just mine. So please feel free to use that as well. This will be recorded, so if you need to duck out or if you want to share this with your team, we'll send that recording to you afterwards. And there's a couple of links in this presentation that you'll be able to click on when I send you the presentation slides as well, and a couple of other resources to help you out. Great. So firstly, the title of this webinar is Preparing for Success. And I think reiterating that success is different for everyone. And success doesn't always mean, winning a Tourism Awards gong. It's, I think let's make sure that you come into this understanding what success is going to look like for you as a business. And that might be getting a gold at the Tourism Awards, but it might be your first time entering and you just want to get a really strong submission and really, be inspired by other businesses. You might want to network, and that might be your goal. That success is getting, a certain amount of new networks to really collaborate with. Or you might be thinking about applying for a grant down the track, and writing a submission will really help you out with having that kind of first draft of what your grant could look like, or just bits and pieces from your submission that you could pull to further add to a grant down the track. And of course, the Tourism Awards, I always say, it's not like any other awards program. It is a business development program. So success for you might be just going through the program and finding all these amazing ways to really develop your business by going through this process. So just keep in mind what the end goal is for you, and think about those feelings once everything's been done for 2024 Tourism Awards. What's going to make you the most happy and the most proud at the end of the process. So keep that in mind as we go through today's presentation. So I'm sure a lot of you have done this before, but a lot of you are new. So I just want to make sure we're all clear on what's actually involved with entering the Tourism Awards. So 10,000 word submission, massive commitment, but super, yeah, just insightful. And, you know, you never get an opportunity to really sit down and review your business and put it into words and into so many words. So it's a really great opportunity. It's probably that part of the awards program where when you have talked to someone who's entered before, they go, oh yeah, that was tough work, but it's really rewarding. So there is that 10,000 word submission. So, you know, thinking about that and what the next, you know, 6 months looks like, you know, how are you going to fit those 10,000 word submissions in that time to get that going, thinking about what your commitments are like in the next few months and into the 2024 awards season. Supporting images, you know, I think we can't overlook the importance of images and the power of those that really support your written submissions. So just think about, you know, what images you have on file currently, what capacity you have to, you know, get some more refreshed images, and thinking about how they can best support your submission next year. Your online review, so that's where a marketing expert has a look at your online presence. So that includes your website, your social media platforms. So thinking about your current activities, thinking down the track if, you know, there's a potential to review your website. And yeah, like what are the plans for your social media in the next few months as well. Consumer ratings, so that's all based on Review Pro. So that's an online review management system, which you have access to if you are an accredited business. And essentially we get an average of all your online reviews for the qualifying period for the Tourism Awards, and that actually gets added on to your overall score. And I'll go into all of this in a bit more detail down the track, but this is really important that you're getting reviews across the qualifying period, and you do need a minimum of at least 25. So do make sure, yeah, I think we're hitting this really early on. Do make sure you have enough of those reviews by the end of June next year. So just think about strategies to really gain more reviews and obviously gain positive ones where you can. So just keep that in mind as well. Those 4 things are the things that you can really start to prepare early on for the Tourism Awards. Once you're in the thick of it, there's also a site visit component where a judge comes out to visit you and experience what you have to offer. Of course, that's something that you do on a day-to-day, providing amazing experiences and products to people. So yeah, just obviously keep doing what you're doing and always looking at how you can improve, and just thinking down the track, you're going to have a judge experiencing that. So that, you know, being in the best position to be providing them an exceptional experience in around, yeah, between July and September next year. So, you know, there are ways to prepare for that, but I think those first 4 components are things that you can really tap into now. So if we have a look at, I'm going to go through really 7 tips to really leverage what we can offer you to ensure that you are in a really great position next year to enter. So firstly, if you aren't a TKSA member and you're joining us today, you know, our members are so important to us. They're part of our amazing tourism community. And if you are a TKSA member, you have access to some really great things. And that includes, you know, I've just got 3 dot points here, but the list goes on. But member discounts for industry events, programs and training. And that does include discounts for actually entering the Tourism Awards, because there is a fee that comes with it. And the gala dinner at the end of the program. So becoming a member, you do get those discounts. Not only that, but you also have access to the Quality Tourism Accreditation program and all the modules that comes with that. With that, you've got templates, resources, business development tools to have access to, which you might not otherwise have if you aren't a TKSA member. So that's another great perk for that. And a tip, if you do decide to join, or if you are already a TKSA member, make sure that you're really tapping into the offers that we have for you. And that's including, you know, signing up for webinars, coming to our workshops, log into the members portal and check out the member offers that we have thanks to our great partners. You know, just make the most of your membership with the awards in mind. and make sure that you include all these activities where it's appropriate in your tourism awards submission. So perhaps, you know, if you start attending workshops, you probably are already, and that includes other industry associations as well. Start jotting down everything that you're attending and the outcomes you get out of it, and just really start recording this type of information. So yeah, if you're a TKSA member already, obviously we really value you and we really want you to make the most of your membership any day, but particularly for the awards, keep that in mind. And if you want a TKSA member, please sing out if you need any more information, and we'd really love to welcome you on board as part of the community. Next step is, if you aren't already accredited, do make sure that once you are a TKSA member, if you are already, think about going through the accreditation process. There's no real time frame to how long that takes, because it really depends on, you know, how you are as a business, you know, how much time you can commit to it, and also what other kind of you know, how organized you are as a business in terms of your policies and processes in place. But like, generally speaking, if I'm going to give it a time frame, we'll go 3 to 4 months to really delve into it and get it done. But of course, it could take less than that, could take more, but I'll give you that kind of rough guide. Getting accredited really makes sure that you are meeting industry minimum industry best practices to communicate to tourists and consumers that you are meeting a particular set of standards to operate as a business. Going through the process gives you access to resources like, you know, business plan, marketing plan, templates, case studies. So this is all part of that business development journey. And I think getting accredited is a really massive tick and a really big achievement, and something that you can include in your tourism awards submission. So think about becoming accredited, and again, thinking about that time frame as well. So if you're looking at max 3 to 4 months, if you're not accredited, how much time over the course of the next few months do you have to commit to doing that? Once you are accredited, you also have access to niche modules. If you're an accommodation operator, thinking about getting star rated, which is a nationally a national program, and puts you against some standards as an accommodation operator, accessible tourism, eco-star. So we've got so many things to offer once you become accredited as well. And fun fact, 91% of our tourism awards winners over the past 3 years have been accredited. So I really think that says something. Also gives you great experience in working in the portal that you actually use to enter the awards. It's the same portal as the accreditation. So it kind of gives you a little bit of, you know, practice to get into the portal. But because the accreditation is so aligned with the awards, I think it's a really good piece into becoming entering the tourism awards. If you're not accredited, it is actually compulsory when you do enter and you write your submission that you go through a component called business standards, and that's where you're actually essentially answering the questions to becoming accredited. So I often encourage people to get accredited now, rather than leaving it to the awards process to answer all those questions that you could have done months before. You know, there's no right or wrong way, but I feel like that getting accredited first really puts you in a much more comfortable position, and you've got more time to focus on your actual submission and all the other components that come with it down the track. So that's just a hot tip right there. Qualifying period. So just a reminder that the qualifying period, you're in it right now, and you've actually been in it for a few months. So the qualifying period really is the financial year. So the qualifying period has begun on the 1st of July of this year, and it ends on the 30th of June 2024. So when you are writing your tourism awards submission, you always have to think about, you know, whatever you're writing in terms of your achievements and your activities, it's always applicable to the qualifying period. So these dates in particular. And of course, you can always compare to activities and achievements in previous periods, but it's more so comparing to what you've got right now. So just, a very friendly reminder that you're in the qualifying period. So make sure that, you've got your awards thinking cap on all the time. Now, that consumer rating component, So that's all very tied in with your online reviews. So it is really important that you've got processes in place to make sure that you and your staff are encouraging guests or visitors to actually leave online reviews. So what systems do you have in place to make sure that that is happening right now? Make sure that if you are accredited, you actually have access to your Review Pro account, and that is where we actually derive your consumer rating component from. So if you have your Review Pro account already, make sure you're logging into that. What I usually like to do is you can change the date range that you're looking at. So make sure you change it to the start of the qualifying period and then up until whatever date you're looking at now, because obviously you can't stretch it out to the end of the financial year currently because you don't have data for that period of time. So yeah, pop in the date range starting from the start of the qualifying period, and you can kind of gauge where you're at right now. You want to be looking at your global review index, so your GRI, which is on your Review Pro dashboard, and that will give you a good indication of what your score could be looking like. And could potentially be a way for you to identify how much more work you need to be doing, how many more positive reviews you need to get to ensure that you've got a really strong consumer rating component. For most categories, an online consumer rating is worth about 20%. So it is a good chunk of your final score. Keeping in mind for some categories, it does vary. So, but for the most part, it's 20%. Just make sure that you're really thinking about ways to get those reviews. Like I said, 25 is the absolute bare minimum that you should collect in the qualifying period. So if you haven't got that amount just yet, I strongly encourage you to really think about those ways to start collecting more to get to that number, and just work with me. I've got my contact details at the end of the slides today. But I'm always happy to go through Review Pro with you. If you're an accredited business, you have access to that already. Make the most of your account. Again, any activities that you do with Review Pro and really using that tool is another great thing to include in your submission. But I am always happy to kind of sit down with you for half an hour online and just go through your Review Pro account. If you're not accredited, this is a really great incentive to have access to that once you become accredited. Just quickly, just got a question. Thanks, Jody. So just wondering on the source of reviews in Review Pro, does it source them from booking.com and Airbnb? Thanks for the question, Jody. So Review Pro pulls from over 175 online review platforms. I can, after this, send you a list of all those platforms. So you're right in saying that it does derive from booking.com. It derives from TripAdvisor, Google My Business, for other parts of our industry. Booking.com, Expedia, those types of websites. Unfortunately, doesn't link up to Airbnb, but you've got a whole list of other sites that it does pull from too. So I will send you that list. But generally speaking, for our industry, it tends to be the main ones are Google, TripAdvisor, Booking.com is probably a top three. But yeah, great question. So thanks for flagging that. Next tip is about your online presence. So for all categories, 10% of your score goes towards your online presence. So like I mentioned previously, it's we engage marketing experts to really delve into your website and your social media platforms. And they kind of go through a series of questions and criteria and mark you against that. Once I send you these slides, if you click here on just at the bottom of that slide there, you can have access to this year's online review questions just to kind of gauge what you might need to be putting in place to really get the highest score that you can for this component, keeping in mind that anything that I link you to for this year may change, subject to change for 2024. But when we're talking about your online presence, probably one of the gaps that I saw, one of the criteria is looking at promoting the region or the city that you are located in. So that's part of the criteria, just off the top of my head. I do find that that's probably one of the things where people get marked down on the most, where their website is really, and their social media is really focused on the business naturally, but thinking about how you can start to really, promote your region as a whole, whether that's a page on your website or a few posts on your social media as well. So that all goes towards the scoring. Frequency of posting is another thing as well. And going back to reviews, actually responding to your reviews is really important too. And that, again, that response rate is derived from ReviewPro. So you can actually see your score for that right now, and that's a percentage. So it could be 50% of your scores, your reviews, are responded to. So just thinking about, what processes you have in place to respond to reviews currently, and are you doing that? I think 25% of reviews being responded to is kind of that where you want to be at or more. And I definitely emphasize or more. But I think 25% or more is probably where you want to be benchmarking yourself, but 80% plus is excellent. So make sure you click on that link. I don't think you can do that now, but once I send you the slides, you'll have what types of criteria your online review will be actually marked against. Cool. And Tracy sent a question: are the survey reviews included as reviews? I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, Tracy, if you've got surveys coming through for your business, they, like, unless it's an online review platform that is included in that ReviewPro list of sources, it would be included. But if it's like a SurveyMonkey review that's like done in-house or through your website, it's not included, unfortunately. I hope that answers your question. Just let me know if you need more clarification around that. Okay, another tip is all about that data. So with your submissions, it's really crucial that you're record keeping, and in most cases you probably are doing that already, but just thinking about the category that you're going to enter, the criteria that you'll be working with, thinking about what data is going to really help to back up some of the statements that you make, because the judges really are looking for those hard statistics. You can say that you're doing X, Y, and Z, and you're doing an incredible job doing whatever you're doing in your business, but you need those numbers, you need the data, you need year-on-year information to really tell the judges and sell that you are actually, what you're doing is making a difference within your business and your team. So make sure that you are keeping record of all stats to ensure that you can really strengthen your submission. Another tip is teamwork makes the dream work. So make sure that, start thinking about, you're already in a really great place because you are actually thinking about entering the awards and you've signed up for today's session. Start delegating work and responsibilities now. So if it's just yourself, obviously that's pretty simple, but if you've got, a team of staff or volunteers that can help out, then make sure you think about whose strengths lie where and how they can really help with not only the submission, but perhaps the online review stuff or getting reviews. Thinking about how your team can really help with those tasks. A great tip I've heard is setting up folders reflecting your submission criteria. So generally speaking, for most categories, there's a few niche ones like cultural tourism as an example, but generally speaking, most of the criteria includes section 1, introduction, 2, business development, 3, marketing, customer experience, and responsible tourism is 5. So these are the types of criteria that you're working against. You've got more detail. I'll send you a link later on, but these are the sections of your 10,000 word submission. So perhaps setting up some folders in your online filing system against those names, and just kind of whenever there's an example of excellence that you think should be included in your submission next year, popping it into those folders is a great way to organize that now. And I've heard a great initiative from a business where they organized team meetings every Tuesday. So it was Tourism Tuesdays. So think about organizing those sooner rather than later. And yeah, I think that really gets everyone involved and committed to entering the awards next year, and always committing some form of time over the next few months. And definitely the frequency of these meetings should start to increase, as the award season really ramps up. And just as a benchmark for you, drafts are usually due in July. So just think about how much time you're committing in that period to have like a solid, 70% complete draft submission done in July. And then we've got, lastly, if you have entered before, please make sure to look at your judges' feedback. So that for anyone that's entered this year and in previous years as well, that should be available through the awards portal. If you're having trouble finding it, just let me know and I can flick it through to you through email. But your feedback is just like a gold mine of tips from the judges. Our judging panel are experts within industry or who've been in industry and now work somewhere else. But a lot of them have also been on the panel for many years and have a lot of experience looking at these submissions. So their feedback is, really incredible and will hopefully help with your submissions down the track too. So make sure you make the most of that, and feel free to organize a time with myself to go through that feedback if you have any questions too. So don't be a stranger if you do have any questions. I don't think we've got any currently. Jodie, could you have some examples of what you put in the folders for the different areas of the submission? Yeah, great question. So really depends on what category you're entering and what type of business you are. But say, for example, you got an amazing review and you wanted to include an image of that in your submission. You might want to snip that and save it in your folder. Things like that. Testimonials are always good. I think probably things that maybe you're not recording and it's just like a snapshot, and it's just something that you don't want to slip from your mind, and it's just an everyday occurrence, but it's really important to save those and put those away, and that usually kind of sparks what you've achieved in the year as well. So stuff like that is probably good, but feel free to contact me if you want any more examples as well. No other questions so far. We do have another one. How many social media platforms are needed, suggested if you only have a website? Is this not enough? So when you are judged for the online component, so when you first enter, you are asked to put in your Facebook link, your Instagram link, and any others, but generally speaking, it's your Instagram, your Facebook that's looked at for that online review. If it is your website that you only have, then the actual social media platforms, the judge would mark it as not applicable, so it actually wouldn't affect the scoring too much. And will there be more training through TKSA for the awards? Thank you. Yes, the answer is definitely yes. So we really pride ourselves on delivering as much support as we possibly can for our awards entrance. That is in the form of, when you do enter, we send you through a nominees kit, and that has like a nationally set entrance guidebook, which is a massive document that gives you, we just really spoon feed you how you can write an amazing submission, and then also the other components. There's little 1-2 pages on how to really excel in that, and then we also hold a number of webinars as well throughout the year, which are all recorded, and resources are sent as well after those sessions, so you're always welcome to join in on those. So we definitely hold your hand throughout the process. Are there samples of previous submissions, like a benchmark submission? Thank you, Jodie. Yes, there is. So we did, actually, this is the first year that we had a mock submission based on a multiple tourism awards winner. not only at the state level, but the national level as well. So we've got a mock submission based on that. So it's kind of a fictitious business, an area of essay, but it is kind of benchmarking what a really excellent submission should look like. And you do have access to that as well when you enter the awards. Obviously, we're reviewing all these resources currently for next year, so it will come in time as well. Word document is handy so you can make notes. Thank you, Julie, from Adelaide Style Accommodation. So a tip from Julie, who is a repeat entrant and also medalist. A Word document is handy so you can make notes during the year to recall on your submission. So I think that was in answer to Jodie's question about examples of things you can put in your folders. So thanks, Julie. It's always good to get someone else's input too. Cool. So doesn't look like we've got any other questions currently. Oh, there is one more. Is there any help working out which award is best to enter if you meet the criteria for more than one? Yes, absolutely. So yeah, you just give TKSA a call or send an email, you know, kind of give us your thoughts, what you're looking at entering. What I always encourage people to do is, you know, get a copy of the criteria, which actually goes into my next slide. Get a copy of the criteria, kind of highlight keywords and think, you know, can I enter this and can I enter this strongly? If you're umming and ahhing about two different categories, then you might want to, you know, compare them side by side and think, okay, which one am I most suitable for? I know that can be really hard sometimes, so always happy to chat that out and make sure that you feel comfortable in the category that you're in. So yes, we definitely provide that support too. So yeah, that segues nicely into my final points really for today's session. So make sure you familiarize yourself with this year's materials, again, subject to change. So just be wary of that. But yeah, we've got all the categories still up online. So you can kind of start to think about the category that might be of best interest to you. Use a QR code, express your interest. So that way we've got you on all our communications for the awards, and just so we can gauge your interest early on, and I'll be in touch as well next year to see what you're thinking and see how we can help you out. And again, always happy to be really accessible to everyone and set up time. TKSA offices in the city, so if you're ever around and want to catch up, or if you want to just give us a quick call, have any questions about the awards, and always really keen to help you out, and particularly this early on as well. It's really important to yeah, just get engaged with the support as soon as you can. Great. So haven't missed any questions, final questions, but that's it for today's session. So thank you everyone for joining us. Friendly reminder, this could be you next year, but either way, whether you win or not, it is such a fantastic program. We're really proud of it, and we're really proud of our industry and the continuous commitment to excellence. So really thank you all for joining us today and being inspired to enter next year, and hope you all have a fabulous weekend. Thanks, everyone.